Hello, today we will talk a little about distal radius. My group is made up of Lina Arias, Carlos Guevara, Andrea Ortiz, Juan David Molina, and Carol Avila. The radius is located at the end of the forearm, parallel to the ulna. It is a long, straight, curved, bridge-shaped bone. It's proximal and forms the elbow joint and the distal and the wrist joint. It has three faces, one anterior, one posterior, and one external. It also has three edges, an anterior, one posterior, and one internal.
A distal radius fracture almost always occurs about 1 inch from the end of the bone, but the fracture can occur in many different ways.
These are divided according to their classification and according to their production mechanisms. The mechanism of the production of trauma is going to define the type of fracture, dividing this into 6 groups. Colles fracture is the most frequent. Smith fracture occurs as a result of a fall with the wrist inflection. Barton fracture is a fracture dislocation of the radiocarpal joint. Hutchinson fracture affects the radial styloid. Die punch fracture is an intra-articular due to axial compression of the lunate, and avulsion fracture of the ligaments attachments, where we include fracture of the radial styloid and ulnar association with fracture dislocation radiocarpals. There are 3 different classifications. Frequent classification, it is divided into 8 groups taking into account joint involvement, radiovulnar, and radiocarpal. Mueller or Al classification. The segment radius ulna is 23, and there are 3 types. Type A, extra-articular, type B, intra-articular partial, and type C, complete intra-articular fracture. And Fernandez classification, based on the injury mechanisms, subdivides fracture into 5 groups.
Indication and symptoms. Generally, on in the most common fractures on in distal radius in the colles fracture which occur very frank and cannot as excessive fracture, which are hack the Smith fracture is very common and is caused by a fall with the hand flex and calle flexion fracture. Distal radius fractures and instead are usually unstable. We have a lot of intense pain, a palpation and inflammation, deformation and intense mind on instead fall on the arm, rupture and radius in distal part of the arm.
A distal radius fracture occurs when the area of the radius nerve of wrist breaks. Surgical fixation in stable distal radius fractures continues on the floor to prevent rigid stabilization, allow early motion, and reduce soft tissue mobility. Distal radius fractures tend to be more common in the elderly because the bone becomes osteoporotic over time. The patients include not only the elderly life, but also younger people in high-energy trauma. Plate fixation allows of direct restoration of anatomy, stable internal fixation, decrease of immobilization, and early return of rise function. Features: shoulders plate 43 mm, longs plate 71 mm, distal weight 35 mm. Screw systems: 2.5 mm conical screw, 2 mm lock screw, 2.5 mm lock screw. Contraindication: any active suspect latent infection or marked local inflammation in a non-diaphragmatic area, compromise vascularity that inhibits adequate blood supply to the fracture opening site, bone stock compromised by disease, infection, or previous implantation that is unable to provide adequate support on fixation of the device.
For this surgery, we will take gauzes, clothing packet, compresses, silent solution, gloves, cotton bandage, elastic bandage, spade blade number 15. Orthopedics instrumentals.
Good afternoon. The complications that may occur in a distal radius artery are lesion of the radius nerve, bruising, a bad consolidation, pseudarthrosis, and great rejection.